Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Own Your Own Freedom. And I'm really excited to make this video today because, oh God, these are the 5 ways narcissists F themselves. And I don't usually use profanity, but this is the most appropriate way to describe it. Because they're so delusional and so dysfunctional that basic things that you and I think about, they just don't think about because they have the emotional and the mental capacity of a 5-year-old. So even though they do inflict a lot of damage on people and they do have a lot of effect because people take them seriously, I took mine seriously, and we think that they're normal functioning, high functioning adults, but they're not. They're vindictive because they're children, and they don't know, they aren't capable of doing anything else. So let me start with the first one. Number one, they don't understand how normal people think. And when I say normal people, I'm saying people without this disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, people like you and me who don't live in a world of emotions, but live in a world of reality, live in a world of, of understanding how people operate, how people think, human behavior. Narcissists understand manipulation, emotional manipulation, but because their whole world is based on emotions, and emotions are unstable and they create alternate realities a lot of the time, they simply don't understand basic things. They don't understand that there are limits to forgiveness and there are limits to empathy. You can only abuse people for so long. They will always figure it out what's wrong with you, and they will cut loose. I'm not saying always, because you do have codependent relationships where it takes an awful long time to separate because they desperately need each other. They feed off of each other. It's a very sick cycle, but for the most part, normal functioning human beings, we have limits to our forgiveness. We have limits to our empathy, and of course, because they're children, they believe that we're evil if we leave them because they feel like you being in their presence, you being in their world, you're mommy, you're daddy, you're supposed to take care of me and give me everything that I need. And when you don't do that, that means you're evil and I can't trust you. So for them, they don't understand how normal functioning adults think and behave. For example, people are afraid of the smear campaign that they do while you're in the relationship and even after the relationship. And I will say, don't be afraid or don't consider the smear campaign to be like the super smart manipulation tactic. It's really not. It's just simple child, trying to manipulate their parents. 2 kids, Timmy and Johnny. Timmy hits Johnny. Johnny gets upset. Timmy knows he's going to get in trouble, so instead of Timmy taking responsibility because Timmy is 5 years old, he runs to mom and dad and tells mom and dad his story before Johnny gets the opportunity to tell his story. And there's a likelihood that mom and dad will believe Timmy over Johnny. It's simple. They just get to the parents first. They hit the punch first. They beat you to the punch, and then by the time you arrive as the actual wounded one, the people who have been told about the situation don't believe you. It's a unfortunate human thing that we do. We believe the first thing people say to us, the first person who speaks to us, but that's reality. Number 2, they don't keep track of their lies. I would say they all have their narrative that they give everybody to elicit sympathy and empathy and admiration, but honestly, they lie in the moment because they're children. They lie because in their warped mind, if they were a child, it wouldn't be a warped mind. It would be just the state of a 5-year-old, of a child. But as an adult, now it becomes delusion. Because they live in their delusion, they lie to different people, and they lie at different times, and they use different lies to different people at different times. So all of that causes them to just, eventually people figure it out. They lie so much, their over lying eventually reveals the truth. I remember ex-narcissist would always say that he ate salad for lunch. It's something stupid. Like, you just say, like, if I ask you what you ate for lunch, just say what you ate for lunch. It's not that important. But he wanted to make me feel like he was this healthy person. So he would lie. He would lie all the time. And then at one point I was like, oh, but didn't you have salad? Didn't you have salad earlier? We were out to dinner. Didn't you have salad earlier? And he's like, no, I had cereal. And I'm like, but you said you had salad. It's like they lie in the moment, because they feel like it's going to win them something. And they totally forget about it. But their lying eventually reveals the truth. Number 3, they don't understand consequences. Like I said, because they live in the delusions of their mind, they haven't developed the basic level of cause-effect analysis like adults do. Children, when they're young, that's why if you ever take care of a child, or if you have a child, you have to constantly tell them, if you do this, this will happen. Because they can't make the connection in their mind. I mean, and eventually they do, but after they can't do it on their own until they get to a certain age. But you have to repeatedly tell them, if you throw this, that means you don't get a snack. Like, they understand that, and but because you told them, not because they figured it out themselves. And so that's where the narcissist is, because they're a child. They don't understand that if they keep lying, the person will figure it out and they will leave them. If you steal and you feel like you're going to get away with it, you might get caught. And if you get caught, you're going to jail. Like, there are consequences to your actions, but they have a difficult time wrapping their head around it. And so, and for example, they understand that people will leave them, but they say it's because we're evil, not because they've done anything to elicit that. They don't understand the connection between, if you behave like an entitled 5-year-old, you will get left in the dust. Number 4, they overplay their hand. And we talk about this all the time, how narcissists can't just be good at what they do. They have to be the best. They can't just be a good salesman. They have to be the best. They have to have won awards. They have to be the best singer, the best guitar player. They have to be in the lead. They have to be the one always that people call on. It's like, they can't just be good. They have to know everything. I mean, my ex, because, I met him in church, he was everywhere. And even though he wasn't really good at anything, I mean, they would have him in tech crew. They would have him in arranging, hotels. They would have for, different conferences. They would have him arranging things, and it was like he wasn't good at any of it, and he sucked at all of it. But if you called in anyone else, he was offended. So it was like a trip, all of that. And because of that, because they overplay their hand, they react irrationally when they don't get their way, because they expect, because they're entitled and because they're better than everyone, that they get their way all the time. But and it's like, when you don't give me what I want, that's I don't understand why you don't give me what I want. Like, it's what I want. They're a child, and so they react irrationally, over the top, when they don't get their way. It's quite frustrating when that happens. And I would say, lastly, is because they aren't capable of developing relationships, they don't have a real safety net. You know what I mean? The safety net for if life goes crazy. They have people they use, and those people can choose not to be used anymore. And that's when you find them deflated and seeking out, random people to come to their aid. It's because the people around them that they have, forced to believe that they are dependent on, have decided no longer to be their caretaker, and that's their choice, and that's the wisest thing to do in that situation. But they don't understand that because they don't have that safety net, they have no one to rely on. And so whenever bad things happen to them, they get hit the hardest. If something happens and someone accuses them of something they haven't done, they have no safety. They have no history with the people that are around them, because they all recognize what's going on. It's quite sad, because they don't have proper coping skills to handle the basic things in life. So If you agree with any of this, and if you had anything you want to add, go down below to the comments and with the hashtag own your own freedom, tell me what you think about these things and these ways that narcissists F themselves, because they really shoot themselves in the foot all the time. They overplay their hand. They don't understand how normal people think, how adults think. They don't keep track of their lives, their web of lies. They don't understand consequences. They don't have a safety net of people who care about them to help them when they really are in need, when they really haven't done something. And feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive new videos that I post. I would like to post more of them per week. And I will see you on the next one.